going in the right direction. And it's about the details of each man. It's about the details of each position, player and coach together. And that was the message we had. And we talked about that during the team meeting this morning. And then really, it's about the fight. It's, to get this thing turned around, the determination and the fight you need to have as an individual person, as an individual position group and a unit and your football team. So the guys were determined there, and I feel real good about the look in their eye. Had a leadership council meeting this morning as well to discuss those topics, and it was a really good meeting. A lot of good communication in that meeting, and so during practice today, the drills, the walkthroughs are going to be working on the fundamental improvement of each person, and they should reflect those individual fundamentals. And I know if we get better at those fundamentals, each individual guy, we're going to be a better execution on Sunday. So with that, open up to questions.
The leadership council meeting that you're talking about, more spirited than usual?
It was really good. It was just open communication like it always is. There was no difference in terms of that. We talked about a lot of different topics there. Obviously, we talked about the football team and how we're going to improve and how it's up to us to be able to lead our position groups in there because they have one or two guys from each position. So that was really good. Also, outline the week, because we have the week coming here, and then how we're going to get ready for that next week. Just to give them an outlook of not talking too much about it, but what the outlook was for the following week as well.
Now, when you talk about the need for fight, what specifically are you looking for in that regard?
Yeah, just being determined to improve, being determined to improve at your skill, at your fundamentals, at your position, right? And that goes hand in hand with the coaches, right? The coaches are in charge of that as well. We got to make sure that we're putting guys in position so they can execute. And it's always going to be about both coach and player.
Now, are you going to get more involved, or have you already gotten more involved in the offense than you did in the first 3 weeks? And are you able to do that while you're also running defense as coordinator?
Yeah, I mean, when you're when you're not doing as well as that you would hoped you've done, certainly I'm getting involved. I've been involved in that. And we're just, putting our heads together how we can make our skill set thrive inside the offense, and what's the best way to do that. And, it's an ongoing conversation with Luke and Janoko and Chris Morgan and all the guys. And I think that's important. And that's been, again, there's been a little bit more time on it because it's just, important for us to get that going for us to be able to win this game. And, but to answer your second part of the question, no, it's been the same equal parts, to be able to do that. Like I said, the defensive staff has helped me out, put the game plan together as we go, and they're doing a good job with that.
You give directives on how you want the offense to be. It ultimately is your responsibility, but you give Luke a lot of authority. Have you stepped in and said, we need to do this?
We put our heads together, and as offensive staff, myself, and then we just do a good job of saying, okay, this is where this needs to go. And this is where we're working to get it to go.
And to confirm, will you be calling defensive plays again?
Yes, I will be calling. Yes, I will.
And do you think that that'll be for the rest of the season? Is that the plan?
Yeah, that's the plan. And we've talked about, different things, but that's the plan right there right now.
When you think about the 2018 Colts, you mentioned it the other day, the 1-5 start and then turning things around. What was the key in that turnaround? Was it self-scouting and making any changes? Was it staying the course? Like, what went into that turnaround?
Yeah, it was both. Certainly we wanted to, you always self-scout. You always look at your, where your deficiencies are and how you can improve on those. And basically it comes down to the execution piece, the fundamental piece of it. And then really doing a good job of making sure that you're having things where guys can play fast. So the way you're coaching it, right, the way you're putting it in as a coach, that's where you can be helpful with those guys and to make sure that they're playing fast and physical and executing at a fast rate, because that to me is good football. So that 1-5 start, it was hard. It was a battle. But ultimately it came down to the players and coaches, in that locker room, okay, coming together as a group and being determined to not let each other down on Sunday, and because we cared so much about each other, and that's what that's going to be.
And you're about to face a defense that gave up 726 yards this past weekend. What in that film is relevant for you guys going into this week?
Yeah, you look at the tape, and again, that's a different skill set that they were playing. So I think they set their defense up differently. I'm sure. So we'll see where it goes in terms of, playing, a different opponent this week for those guys. But again, they're going to be determined, right? They just, that same thing happened to them, and they're not happy about it either. So it's going to be a battle.
Is there anything you can draw from seeing where some of the vulnerabilities were?
Yeah, you always look at the tape. But again, it's all about the setup. We don't know if the setup's going to be that way. It's a game plan defense, so they change and adjust every single week. So we're going to have to adjust to what we see.
The majority of your top receivers came here via trade. How do you either keep them encouraged or locked in that they will get the opportunity to do what they did elsewhere, which made them so attractive to this team to trade for?
Yeah, just communication. Just talk to them. I've talked to every one of those guys, from DJ to Cole to Mooney, all those guys, one-on-ones, separately together. And it's about just staying determined, right? Having a positive attitude, having a can-do attitude, working with Justin, working with the offensive staff, and to be able to get that done. And all those guys are right on board, and they're excited about the opportunity this week, and they're also determined too.
Now, in the past, when we've asked you about the losing streak, you say, well, we've got guys who weren't here last year, but you have guys who were too. You have a coaching staff that for the most part was here. What can you do as a head coach to make sure that the weight of just not winning a game in 11 plus months doesn't affect what you do? And I imagine it would be human nature if it did, right?
Yeah, a lot of times what happens is with human nature is that you make excuses, right? You blame this, you blame that, you blame injury, you blame circumstance, you blame all these things, and you can't do that. You got to own up to what you've done, right? And the circumstance is a circumstance. You gotta execute and do what you're supposed to do and do your job every single day, right? And you never know when it's right around the corner. So that's the attitude we have. We're determined. We're focused on this week alone, and that's the attitude the coaches have.
Let's give an obvious question. What does it feel like to go through 13 straight losses?
Like I said, I focus on this year. This is a new football team, so I'm focusing on, week 4, and that's where we're focused right now. So.
Has given you indication that determination is there. I know you've said all these things and that you still have the ear in the room.
Yeah, I would just say the detail, the detail of the guys listening and focusing in the walkthroughs. I really look at walkthroughs first because that's the first thing we do in the week, and the guys are wired in. We got to lock in, and the guys are doing a good job with those, and that's step 1, right? So the meetings are first, they're locked in there, walkthrough second, and now we got to have a good practice.
And how concerning is it with the pass rush only generating 1 sack in 3 weeks?
It's something we got to do better. We got to do it better, so we're going to continue to do that. We're going to end up, sending 4 guys and playing some coverage. We obviously got to send 5 sometimes, send 6. But again, we just got to do a good job. We've gotten home some, and we've missed some sacks in the pocket. So we have to do a better job with that, making sure we do a good job of getting the guy down when we do have pressure. But again, that number's got to improve for sure.
Can you pinpoint, are there scheme changes that probably would lead to, those pressures becoming sacks, or is it something personnel wise? Can you figure?
Yeah, I would say it's always going to be both. You can always look to improve. You're always trying to change and move how you look on defense, in terms of, beating their protections. So I think you need to do that first. And then also the guys one-on-ones, it's 4 = 1. So, if it's going to be a game you're running, they got to run the game with violence. You got to run it correctly. If it's just guys just rushing, they got to play off each other. They got to cover each other. If it's a right cover or left cover or an inside cover inside, we have to do that with precision.
Matt, you've come in.
Tremaine Edmonds is averaging like 10 tackles a game, but frankly, really hasn't felt his impact in the game. Feel free to disagree with that premise, but why is that? Why has he not made the impact that maybe you had hoped, or Bears fans certainly hoped for?
Yeah, I go to the latter. I disagree with that. I think he's made a lot of tackles in there, and you felt him. He's had a lot of nice big hits in there that I think will generate enthusiasm. And as he does those, he has to do a good job of punching the ball at the same time to create impact plays. So we're working on that. We're working on lowering his tackling a little bit to make sure he can get down to that position where you need to be to create those big plays. And he's going to work diligently to get that done.
And so far we've heard
DJ Moore, I would argue he's your best player. Why isn't there an insistence that he's getting the ball more, that he's getting 10 to 15 targets a game?
Yeah, DJ is a great player. He really is. And he's a great person too, so, we obviously have to target, him as well as the other skill on our team. And, that's one of the conversations we're having as a group, as an offensive staff and myself, is being able to, in the first plays of the game, the first 15, to really target those skill players. And DJ's one of those guys.
You said it, I mean, is he the priority as your most accomplished,
Well,
dangerous offensive player?
Yeah, I think no question about that. But you also have to distribute the skill to the skill. Mooney, Cole, all the guys in there. We got to do a great job with that, and then establishing the run. That's going to be an important part too, to open up those the pass.
To do more, last week you said that you calling plays was in the best interest of the team. Specifically, can you expound on that? Or why make the decision to do it the rest of the year, knowing that there could be some options, especially got this 10-day break here coming up?
Yeah, like I said, we're looking at it. Like I said, we've discussed it, right? So right now, where we sit right now, this is the best thing for us, and that the reason is because I'm the defensive coordinator, where I came from, and it's a natural fit for us to do that right now.
You guys are coming off a lopsided loss. I mean, the Broncos lost by 50. How much do you think this is going to come down to which group of players is kind of sick of losing, maybe embarrassed after last week?
Well, that's what we're talking about, the fight, right? It's going to come down to a determining, group, out there. The Chicago Bears need to be determined to get this thing done, and it's going to come down to that moment in the game, right? There's going to be a moment in the game in the second half that we got to do it, right? And we got to pull together and get that done. It's going to be done through execution. All right.
That was head coach Matt Eberflus. I'm not gonna lie to you, J-Mac. He might as well not talk. He might as well not talk. You didn't say anything. Hey, J-Mac, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna fight, and we're gonna go out there and wait till we see the whites of their eyes, and then we're gonna attack. Well, you're not saying nothing. You might as well not speak to us. The NFL should take away that they have to speak to us. Because if that's what you're going to give us, you have no answers for anything. It's clear that you have no answers with any of the players that you have. By the way, Chicago Bears podcast. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us. Hit the like button, subscribe to the page. Pat the Designer, J-Mac. That pisses me off to no end to hear just we got to fight. And if we don't fight, then we're going to lose the fight. And sometimes when we fight, we fight. What is that? What are you saying, J-Mac? What are you hearing here, man? Like, what the heck is going on?
No, I mean, it's a lot of it's coach speak, and it's a lot of it's the same thing he said every press conference. It's going in, harping on the details. We had a leadership council. It went very well, but you're not giving, real answers to problems that need to be solved. You're not saying, hey, like, we need to run the ball more. Obviously, we need to play better. Obviously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Today's practice, the thing that got me, today's practice will be focused on in our periods, our individual periods will be focused on fundamentals. But as a team, like, the fundamentals is the foundation of everything, regardless on what phase of the game it's on.
We got Justin Fields coming here, so let's listen in to what Justin has to say. Maybe we'll hear more.
It's that, and it's just been doing what we're doing. Coming in, working hard each and every day, and when the game comes, just focusing on details each and every play, and being present within each and every play.
What are the things you can do to try and push the thoughts of the losing streak out of your head? I imagine it'd be exhausting if you sat there and thought, it's been 13 games.
No thought.
No thought at all?
No.
Justin, anything specific when you guys reviewed the film about your game, the good, the bad that you liked?
You've got to focus on details within each and every play. Everybody's got to do their job.
Justin, why do you think you guys haven't taken more advantage of DJ's abilities? You haven't gotten him the ball that much. What can you do to change that?
When you have a player like that, you always want to give him the ball. But defense knows that. It's not like they don't know he's probably our best receiver. So just like last game, they're gonna put two guys over him. They're gonna cloud his side, but of course, when we do get those ops, we definitely want to have get him the rock for sure.
Are you seeing? Matt has talked about focusing on the details at every position. What does that mean to you as a quarterback in terms of focusing on details?
It's a lot. Of course, I have to know the most information on the offense, so I got to know what the defense is doing. Know the run cans, know the criteria for each play. If we have a different play, a different check towards a defensive look, got to take care of that protection wise. Got to tell the O-line where to slide to and stuff like that. So A lot goes into it, but you know, that's basically kind of what my part is when I got to focus on the details. So yeah.
Just on the one you did hit the DJ up the left sideline, take us through that play and what you saw there and the ball you put out there.
One high man, DJ had a fade route, just threw it to him, and he made a good catch, good contested catch late. So yeah.
What have you done mentally to kind of, you said after the game, big picture stuff, your perspective has changed a lot since last week. What have you done mentally to kind of focus yourself and deal with this adversity? Probably this kind of adversity you've never dealt with before.
I I just know, all the adversity I go through is, gonna make me stronger. So, as a person and as a player. So, just gotta look at, the bright side of things and think of yourself as, going through adversity for a reason. So that's what I've been doing.
Who can you lean on? Who do you lean on in the locker room for this? Who do you lean on in the locker room? Who do you go to in that house?
I think Mooney a lot for sure. He's probably the main guy that I just go and talk to, rap with. But a lot of guys. We have a lot of great leaders. Talked to DJ a little bit this week, and just try to get the leaders of the offense and make sure everybody's morale is up and everybody's still determined to go win.
How do you keep everybody's morale up?
Just talking to them, communicate.
Justin, you mentioned Darnell Mooney. What can you do specifically to kind of get him more involved in the game plan? He hasn't maybe been as impactful as obviously you would maybe like him to be.
He knows he's going to get the ball when the plays for him. I feel like you call a play for DJ, y'all say we're not getting the ball to DJ enough, and then of course Moon, and then next is going to be Chase, and it's going to be Cole. So it's like we have a lot of playmakers on offense. So everybody's not going to be able to get 15 targets a game. Like we got to spread the love around. So certain instances where they do put two people on DJ, then Moon, Chase, or Cole might get it or something like that. So just spreading the ball out, and of course wanting to get the ball in our playmakers' hands when that opportunity is available.
I know it was a loss and the numbers are the numbers, but did you feel freer out there, less robotic, some of the things that you were talking about last week that you wanted to kind of overcome?
Yes, I did.
Justin, you guys are obviously coming off your loss to the Chiefs. Broncos are coming off a 50-point loss. How much does it come down to on Sunday, which group of players kind of just wants to get off the skid?
That's ultimately what it's going to come down to. Who's going to execute more? Of course, we're both 0-3, so we're both, wanting that first one in the season. So it's going to be scrappy. And it's going to come down to who executes more situationally. Who has more takeaways and stuff like that. So, we all know the things that go into winning a game. So we just got to take care of those details and win the turnover battle and et cetera, and just at the end of the day score more points.
Flu said the other.
Go ahead, Corey.
Flu said the other day, I think it was Monday, that he feels like you guys are close in spite of the losses. And I think it was after Tampa Bay, you said you feel like you've got a long ways to go. How do you balance where the head coach feels the direction of the team is, but also you personally commanding this offense?
Run that back for me.
Flu said that he feels like you guys are close, and you've said that you feel like this offense has a ways to go.
I didn't mean it like that. In terms of long way to go, reaching our potential, reaching our full potential. I think Flus was meaning it as close to winning a game. So in terms of, yes, we're close to winning games, and I think we have a lot of potential to go to hit our ceiling. So.
That's about the answers I expected to hear from Justin Fields in that one. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that, after last week and what everything turned into, you knew that Justin Fields wasn't going to give you a ton of answers coming into this week. I wasn't surprised by that in the slightest. And that's kind of what I expected. I think there's maybe a couple of things to take away from what Justin said there, but for the most part, right, he's not going to give you much after you take his words and you rip them apart for him for an entire week. That's just human nature. And that's exactly what that press conference sounded like to me.
100%. I mean, he's just going to give you the basics. And we keep hearing the word from him, all the other coaches, details, right? And that's what's really lacking. That's what's been lacking, not just this year, last year as well. That's why they're on this long winning streak. Losing streak. I'm sorry. When you have, I wish it was a winning streak. Losing
Yeah, I know, right?
When you have guys, right, not winning their one-on-one matchups, not winning their individual battles, that translates to losses. And offensively, it's a lot tougher because it takes all 11 guys on the same page doing their job for one play to work or one play to have a chance at working. And when you have guys lining up wrong, going the wrong way, not pass protecting, not using the fundamentals, in pass protection, things are gonna go wrong. And that's the way it's been on both sides of the ball this year. We heard Coach Flus talked about, in practice today, they're gonna focus on those fundamentals in their individual periods and stuff like that. But that should be the norm. When you have individual period with your position coach, the fundamentals should be worked on all the time because it takes those fundamentals to execute the scheme, to execute those plays, to make those plays, to make those big plays when opportunity arises. And we saw last game where the times that Justin did put the ball in the air, to give his receivers a chance to come down with it, they didn't make those plays. I think DJ Moore had one early, missed on that, but he came back and made one late in the game. Chase had one in which, Flus talked about that on Monday in a press conference saying that, he felt like Claypool should have high pointed the ball. Well, yeah, he should have. How tall is he? 6'5"?
6'4", 240.
You got to come up with that. That's what you were brought here for. I mean, the quarterback's putting that ball in the air. You got to come down with it. And these are the things that we're not doing. How many plays? And I just finished watching the All-22 again of Kansas City's offense because I'm so envious. I'm jealous. And how many one-on-one plays did their receivers make? I mean, it looked like it was too easy. I mean, Patrick Mahomes sitting in a clean pocket, going through his progressions, throwing darts, you know what I'm saying? Receivers running wide open. Coach Flus talked about it today. He talked about, those defensive linemen, they're trying to run games. And so what games are is to run like a TE stun or an ET to try to create pressure, to try to confuse the offensive line, to see if they can't pass things off and pick it up. And when you watch it, the defensive line, they're doing those things, but they're not doing it at an aggressive pace. And if you're not doing that at an aggressive pace, well, guess what? You're not going to get any sacks. That's why we have one total sack this season. So when you're not doing things at a high level and you keep doing the same thing over and over again on that football field, you're going to get the same results. And that's you being in the loss column.
I think the concerning part for most Bears fans too is, right, like you've got a defensive-minded head coach who has no answers defensively. Talked about Tremaine Edmonds' impact on the game, and I think the biggest takeaway for me is he's sitting here talking about Tremaine Edmonds getting to a good pad depth to make a tackle. Tremaine Edmonds has been an all-pro player. You think he doesn't know where his pad depth need to be to make a tackle? Like, what are we talking about right now? Your team right now is 31st in points allowed per game, 35 points. You've given up 407 yards per game. You're 29th in the league. 285 passing yards allowed per game. You're 29th in the league. 121 rushing yards allowed per game. You're 19th in the league. And I'm going to tell you what, J-Mac, the thing that should tell you the most is every time a team plays you, they look like the greatest team that football's ever graced on the gridiron. But every time they go play anybody else in the NFL, the Packers looked like a joke pretty much all till the last drive of the game. The Buccaneers couldn't get the offense to move forward all day. Before the Chiefs played us, they had scored 34 total points. They scored 34 total points in the first half. Like it's you cannot sit here and talk to me like you have the answers when you don't even have the answers on what your team or what side of the ball you actually control. And I'm talking about Flus with the defense. By the way, we do have the phone lines up. Chime in with us, 312-332-3776. We'll get to some of your phone calls as well today. I guess here's the thing, right? When you look at the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned the pressures, you mentioned the takeaways, right? The biggest stat to me that sticks out, how many times have the Chicago Bears been 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 14? Teams are completing at a 60% rate on the Chicago Bears. That's 32nd in the NFL on 3rd down. How does Flus fix that immediate point? Because I think that's the first thing. If you fix it, all of a sudden we're having different conversations about the defense.
Well, this is the thing, right? So look at last week. Kansas City was like, they were 10 for 14 on 3rd down. I think it was like I'm not a mathematician, but I think that was like 71% or something like that. Now Denver was they went 3 for 12 on third down. So something's got to give. But here's the thing, right? Third and whatever, right? You're never gonna get off the field if you can't get pressure. We talked about this all year, and you heard him say it in the press conference. We're trying to get pressure with our front four. We may have to bring 5. We may have to bring 6. No, you're going to have to bring 5.
You do.
You're going to have to bring 6 because you're not getting pressure with 4. Period.
Yeah.
That's like you're not getting pressure with 4. So stop trying to experiment with just rushing 4 because it's not working because you cannot get off the field on third downs. That's the problem with this defense, right? And this defense, we ran the same defense when I was here. We had a lot of great players, game changers. The players we had on that defensive line, Alex Brown, Adewale Ogunleye, Tommy Harris, the ideal 3 technique. We don't have a 3 technique. We don't have one. We don't have a 3 technique that can be a disruptor, right? That can get pressure up the middle, that can dent the pocket, so that way those edge rushers can corral the quarterback. We don't have that. And we only have one true pass rusher on this defensive line. That's Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah.
Other than that, who's the other threat on defensive line? Nobody. So if you cannot get pressure with that front 4 in this defense, it's not going to work. So therefore, you have to bring secondary pressure. You have to bring a linebacker. You have to bring a safety. So yes, you do have to bring 5 or 6. You got to do whatever you have to do to get off the field on third down. Period.
Yeah, and that's and the problem is, right, you're right, 100%, 10 for 14, 71%. That leads to 36 minutes of time of possession. There's
That
not
leads
much
to getting
game
your-
left after that.
And I know I can't. I don't know if I can curse on this, but that leads to getting your ASS whip.
Well, maybe not. No, we're not on the radio. We're not on the radio. You're good. You're good.
Well, you know what I mean.
I think you can get away with that on the radio as well. I ain't
Just
gonna
more
lie to you.
I'm just freshly frustrated because I watched the All 22 after the game, and I just rewatched it on the defensive
Hey,
side.
I'm right there
it just
with
makes
you.
me frustrated again. So
Yeah,
I feel very bad. I feel for the Bears fans. It's as a former player, like I said last week, for me, the Bears is like family to me. Gave me an opportunity to play here for a long time, changed my life. Allowed me to reach my dream, but at the same time, like they're family. So when I go out there and I see us getting our butt whooped every Sunday, it feels like a family member is getting a butt whooped and I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
So it hurts. I feel the fans. I'm frustrated. I'm pissed off as well. And sometimes, it sucks as a coach, but you got to go up there and just be honest. Hey, we suck. We suck right now. We're trying to find answers. You know what I mean? You can't give a lot of excuses. It's this, it's that. No, we suck. We suck.
You're not even giving good excuses. Like, give me a good excuse. You know what I mean? Like, you're just basically like, hey, we'll fight them. And sometimes when you fight, you win. Sometimes you lose. That ain't what my mama taught me. My mama said, you come home and you get beat up. Never mind. We can't talk about old school parenting on here. Anyway, let's go out to the phones, man. Let's go to Steven in Milwaukee. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He wants to talk about the lack of leadership on his team. Steven, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's happening, man?
Yeah, I live in Milwaukee, but I'm from Chicago, South Side, longtime Bears fan, man. And I just agree with everything that you guys are saying. But the one thing that sticks out for me is just Justin Fields' leadership is just not there. I feel like the stigma that we have nowadays, when he scored that touchdown in the Green Bay game and went and sat down on the bench, I took that as disrespect, man. You get up and you go to the defense and tell them that you want the ball back because you want to go back and score. There's just no intensity. There's no fire in these guys, man. They're not shooting off the line they're lining up wrong, and it's just they're letting the stigma get to them. They're letting our words get to them, and it's very frustrating. Just seeing the great work that all the other guys that put in, all the guys that you were naming. It just seems like maybe they need to go back and watch some film from those guys and kind of learn from that. But to me, it's just the leadership and the intensity is just not there from who it needs to be. And it's just very frustrating to see that.
Yeah,
Nah,
thanks.
go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just give a quick point to that. That's a great call, and that's a great assessment right there. It's Steven, right, from Milwaukee.
Yeah, Steven. Yep.
Yeah, so here's the thing, and this is the thing that I've questioned all the way back to last year. And, I'm not in that locker room, so I don't know the answer to this question, but I know what it should look like, right? So if the head coach, right, is lacking in leadership, right, well, you got to have guys, culture changers, alphas in that locker room that can take control of that locker room, that when they speak, everybody's going to listen. When they speak, when they're going out there, they're doing things, everybody's going to follow. And I don't know who that is on this team. I don't know who's the person that says, you know what?
Yeah.
we're playing bad, we're playing terrible, this ain't us. Like, who has that leadership role and who's going to follow, that leader and follow his lead? Like, we had guys like that, multiple guys like that. We had Olin Kreutz, we had Mike Brown. Brian Urlacher was more a leader by example. We had Reuben Brown with guys like that. Thomas Jones was our guy in our running back room that was like that, that when those guys spoke, everybody listened because they did things the right way. They did things like a pro. They were meticulous in their preparation. They actually understood the details of what it took to be successful and win games, but also to perfect their craft. So those are the things that that a lot of these guys did.
Yeah, and I think right to his point, I don't know if the team doesn't view Justin as the leader, but I think when you talk about somebody being, I don't know if we lost J-Mac there. I think when you talk about somebody being a vocal leader, right? There he is. Welcome back. When you talk about somebody being a vocal leader, Justin is a lead by example guy. The problem is the example that you're setting right now is terrible, right? When I see on the field is a terrible example of leading this team in the right direction. DJ Moore is the same way. You know what a problem is? And Justin talked about this. He said, everybody can't get 15 targets a game. I'm not asking for everybody to get 15 targets a game. I'm asking for him to get 15 targets a game because you have too many lead by example guys on this team, and DJ Moore can't lead by example if he's not able to set an example. Courtney Cronin said that yesterday on the Chicago Bears podcast. He needs the ball to have an example. Just because he dropped the ball, just because he wasn't able to hold on to it, that's no reason to stop giving him the football. Is he your number one or what? How many times do you think Justin Jefferson dropped the ball? Or, and I get there's a difference in those guys. But we're talking about DJ Moore before this season as one of the top 16 wide receivers in the league. And now we're basically like, he can't see the football on Sunday. Why? Because there's a double team over the top. That's not acceptable. That's not an acceptable answer. And if that's the mindset, and it's very rare that I just sit here and go with the mindset of what Justin Fields is right now because of what he's been through on this team. But if that's the mindset that you have, that I can't throw the football to my number one receiver because there's a safety over the top, that means that you're expecting to be a game manager, a Jimmy Garoppolo. That's not or whatever, a system guy, and you need the system to make you better. And you can't just trust your guy being open down the field for you to get the football to him to make him better. You think Kirk Cousins don't see that safety over the top on Justin Jefferson?
Here's the thing, right? You keep bringing up a key word: system, scheme, schematics.
Yeah.
Offensive, being
not a lot of guys open after looking at the all 22.
But here's the thing, though, right? And we got to look at these other teams. Look at Miami, the way they moved Tyreek Hill. Everybody knows Tyreek Hill's a marked man on that offense, right? But what does Mike McDaniels do? He does a good job of finding ways to get him open. They use a lot of motions and shifts, find ways to scheme him open. So you can't just line up DJ Moore on the outside and try throwing the ball. It's easy.
100%.
You don't take that away. You got to move him in
100%.
the slot. Got to put him in motion. Look at last week and the way the Chiefs moved Travis Kelce. He's lined up in the slot. He's lined up out wide. He's lined up in the backfield. And that's the way you scheme your best player open. You know what I'm saying? And that's and if you're not scheming your best player open, right, you use him as a decoy to get other guys open. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're talking about: the schematics and this offense, the creativity. Second year in this offense, the growth, right? The next step that you should take. Well, you've got a number one receiver. Find ways to get him open.
Yeah.
The development in this offense. Find ways to move the pocket. Find easy completions for Justin. Run the ball. You get 5 yards on one carry, and then you go back. You run. You drop back on 2nd and 5. Play action passes incomplete. Now it's 3rd and 5. Now you're behind the chain. Run the ball again. Run it again. Like, that's the frustration that I see in this offense. The run's going to set up the pass, especially when you're struggling in the passing game. Run the ball.
And it's just
4 or 5 yards. Keep running it.
It's just pure redundancy with the same thing. We've gone now 3 weeks into the season, and I swear, right, like everybody's seeing the same thing. There's moments where you can look at the fans and be like, y'all not seeing that. Y'all don't know what you're looking at, blah, blah, blah. No, everybody see. From the fans to the players to Dan Orlovsky to Greg Gabriel to whoever you want to say, everybody's looking at the offense doing the same thing. What the heck are we doing here? What's this? What are we putting on the field? Like that tells you something. And there's such a lack of creativity in what this team has offensively. Let's keep it going to the phones here, man. Let's go out to Wade in Denver. He wants to talk about the defense actually being a bigger issue than the offense. Wade, what's good?
Hey, what's up? Hey, just wanted to, I like watching your show and listening to it.
Appreciate you, man.
Just wanted to say is, if you look at last year, I think they lost 8 games within one score.
Yeah.
If you go back to what Minnesota did last year, they won the opposite amount within one score. You're talking, an average defense can hold a decent offense, but they're not working together. Either one's good or the other's good, and you can win games. They're both been bad, So it's pretty hard to point, here's all the offense. But I agree, the schemes are horrible at what they're running. Hell, I'd go call Ryan Day to Ohio State, what were you doing to make it a little different? But, when the other teams are looking at it and you hear them talking, I know what play is coming. I look at Miami. He's making up some fantastic play calling that's allowing them to get open. And even when you get the better teams, you all know it seems like all the receivers pull in those balls that are close. They're happy to be there. They're pulling them in and making those fantastic catches, but they don't seem to be doing that here. And everyone's saying you got to stay in the pocket, but it's hard to do that when there isn't a pocket.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts. So
appreciate the call, Wade. No, I agree. I think that there's just a lack of, and me and J-Mac would talk about it, just the lack of creativity here on both sides, right? When you look at the defense, I came out of Sunday watching the defense, and I was just like, there's no way that you think it's okay to bring this little amount of pressure and just let Tremaine Edmonds just play center field, and he's basically just standing there. He's in the right spot, but they could just drop it right over his head. Why? Because there's no pressure. Pat Mahomes can stand back there all day and just wait for Travis Kelce to turn around and say, hey, I'm 6'7". There's no imagination in this defense. There's no thought process on how to bring more pressure. And through 3 weeks, I think the biggest issue is that we've seen the exact same thing. Last week, a little bit different offensively, but it's different because you kind of did the same thing to start the game off, and it put you in such a massive hole that then you had to just go, well, just throw it downfield.
Yeah, and you got in a massive hole because, like you said, defensively, it was like, in the words of Charles Barkley, it was terrible. You can't, like I keep saying, right? This defense is predicated on getting pressure with your front four. If you cannot get pressure with your front four, you put so much stress on the secondary. And when you have an offensive mind like Andy Reid and a generational quarterback like Pat Mahomes, it looked like he's back there playing a 7-on-7 game. And that's what it looked like. And moving forward, like they're playing Denver, don't get it twisted. Like Denver, Denver lost that game, yeah, but at the same time, Russell Wilson still threw for over 300 yards. He's got some good receivers over there, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, guys that can make plays. So and you got a good running back with Javonte Williams. So to win this game offensively, we're going to have to score points. We saw Miami put up 70, and I don't think we're not going to put up 70, but at the same time, we're going to have to score points because this team, right, they're going to move the ball.
Yeah.
Denver's going to move the ball, right? They're going to put points on the board. We're going to have to match that. And the thing is, like we said, our receivers, when given the opportunity, they're not winning those 50-50 balls that Justin's throwing up. And we're not doing our best to give them easy completions. We're not doing our job to help the offensive line in protection by moving the pocket. You know what I'm saying? By getting the ball out quick. We continue to try to run deep routes, have Justin sit there like a sitting duck and putting all that pressure on offensive line saying, you know what, you guys got to pick these guys up, even with new guys in the lineup. Like that's not, for me, that's not being sound offensively.
Yeah, no, 100%. Let's keep it going. Let's go out to Will in Dallas. Will, what's good?
What's good, baby? J-Mac, Pat, what's going on?
What's happening, Will?
My God.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's good?
Man, what's going on? J-Mac, Pat, what's good?
Good, man.
What's up, man? What's your thoughts?
Man, hey, the thoughts is like, look, at the end of the day, I don't understand why for Denver, the blueprint, the Dolphins had over 300 yards rushing. So we already know what ails a troubling defense. You got to have better time of possession. You can't do that when you chuck it over with a poor line that can't block. The interior offensive line is terrible. So why don't we run more 12 personnel? Like, we're going to have to pound the rock get Justin out on boost waggles, things like that, because he's a sitting duck in that pocket, run better route concepts where you can get scheme DJ Moore and Cole Kmet open on some out routes, 5-10 yards, and let him get some yak yards, because I'm telling you, if we just try to sit in the pocket like y'all said earlier, hey, right now Russell looks good. He threw for 300, and Jared Judy and Cortland Sutton, they not no scrubs. So now it's time to adjust to what we know hopefully will work with the personnel we currently have, because I'm going to be honest, right now, we look terrible across the board, defense, the concepts on offense, and now it's just time to start tweaking things based off what will work, which right now we don't really know, other than Carol Santos and the special team, what's going to work consistently. So it's just time to change some things based off the opponent we're playing and put the ego aside, because if not, we'll be staring at an 0-17 hole.
Hey, Will on point with it, ain't he? That's 100%. That's 100%, right? Like if Cairo and the special teams is the one thing that we know has worked through 3 weeks. Really?
We don't know, because we don't get a chance to have every ball kicked through the back of the end zone. So we don't know if we got a return game. We haven't had an opportunity to see Bayless return a kick. So yeah, we know in terms of, field goals and kicking, yeah, we're good.
We got a blocked field goal too. Yeah, I mean, we got
but on the punt, we failed to down the ball inside.
This is true. Oh my God.
So
yeah, that's it.
We don't really know. There's no true evaluation there. But to Will's point, right? My guy Will was at the game. Mind you, Will was at the games. My guy in Dallas, he was at the Kansas City Chiefs game. He's a long time Bears fan. But here's the thing, right? The same things we've been talking about, and they're watching the all-22. The coaches watch film. They're watching as individuals. Like, when do you make a change in your scheme? When do you try to make things easier for your quarterback? When do you try to make things easier for your offensive line?
Yeah.
When do you start trying to scheme and find ways to get your number one receiver the ball? We see this all the time. I talked about Miami. They find ways to get Tyreek the ball. Even when Devontae Adams was with that team up north, everybody knew Devontae Adams was the best receiver. Guess what? They did things to scheme him open.
Yep. And
that's what you have to do. You got to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. And when the running game is running, make them stop it. Keep pounding the run. Make them stop it. Don't get, 5-yard run here, 4-yard run here. And then boom, now you want to go to drop back and get behind the chains. It just doesn't make sense. You just put yourself in a hole that you can't climb out of. And if I know that we suck on third down, right, the offensive philosophy should be, right, I need to get at least 6 yards between first and second down. So I know I got 2 downs to get 6 yards. So that way on third down, I'm ahead of the chain. That playbook opens up a lot wider.
Yeah. It's a joke to me coaching wise. And listen, I'm not absolving the players of anything. I think that they have played poorly. I think there's been a lack of hustle. There's a lack of intensity. You can only control what you do, right? And the fact that you're not willing to go out there and play your hardest on the field says a lot about what I think the culture around this team is right now. But at the end of the day, you've gone into 3 games and I've seen the same scheme and it hasn't worked in any one of the games. So which game were you preparing for? Which game were you preparing the team for? I think that there may be a little bit of and we talked about this with Meller on Sunday, right? By the time Justin had spoke, the game plan is in. They're not going to tweak the game plan that much versus Kansas City. The game plan was in by the time we heard that felt like I was playing like a robot. I get to play more freely. I'd like to play more freely. I think we'll see more of that coming into this game. But realistically, guess what? The guys on the other side get paid a lot of money to make sure that Justin Fields doesn't run away from you. And now they know what he wants to do because he's announced it to the world. Now you have to find ways to get guys open. And the number one thing that I took away from the all-22, yes, there still are misses for Justin, but there just wasn't much open. I'm looking downfield and I'm like, okay, there's no creativity to this. And also, like, is this the Kansas City Chiefs or the 05 Bears? Like, that's exactly how it looked downfield. You couldn't find guys open. You couldn't find guys underneath. There wasn't a ton of underneath stuff for Justin to take. Like, it's almost like everything that they talked about with the 12 personnel and all of that going into this game or going into the season, they were like, hey, man, that sounded real good, didn't it? Now, what we actually gonna run? Because I haven't seen any of the mismatches they talked about.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And I know you play a team in Denver and everybody's like, oh, they gave up 70 points. But guess what? They're going to fix those things. They're going to fix those.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be, charged up and ready to right their wrongs, especially against the Bears, which they know they got an offense that's been struggling. So, we can't go in and say, okay, it's going to be easy. We're going to go out there and put up 40 points on this Denver defense. You know, we've got to take care of what we got to take care of, which we haven't done all season, even dating back to last year. So at the end of the day, like, somebody's got to step up. And my biggest fear is watching film. I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if we have those players that can do that. You know what I mean? I just feel like when it just seems like to me, when they get down, they're down. You know, their heads are down, running off the sideline. Like I said, there's no emotional leader trying to, you know, get this team back in the game to get their mental back to where it should be. And that's a huge problem. And if you're just relying on the coach to do those things, well, you're going to be a bad team. Because the great teams in this league, they're player-led. They're not – the average teams are coach-led. And if you don't have a player-led team in this league, you won't be an elite team. And right now, I think we're a coach-led team, but we're a coach-led team by a coach that doesn't know where to go, a coach that doesn't have answers or any adjustments. And I think that's where – I mean, that's the Bears so far, you know, this season in a nutshell.
No, 100%. And I think the biggest thing you said there is just right. Like, the coach doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know where to take this. He thought that this was going to be a easier transition. And then of course, everything goes down with Allen Williams. That makes things a lot harder for you. But, you know, you got to be able to roll with the punches. I'm sorry, the football season is not exactly how you expected it to go. And you talk about fight. Let's see you roll with some of those punches. Let's finish it out here. Let's go to one more call. Then we're going to get up out of here. Let's go to Kenji in Louisville. Kenji, what's good?
Hey, what's going on, guys, man?
What's
I'm a
happening,
lifelong Bears fan from out of Kentucky, man. It's driving me insane watching my boys lose like this. But, man, what do y'all think about third downs? Because it seems like we struggle on third downs, and that's on both sides of the ball. Third down defense ain't getting off the field, and third down offense is getting off the field too fast. Like, the guys got to step it up, man. Somebody in the defensive block on the defense side of the ball got to step up and say, hey, we got to go out here and make some plays. The 2 turnovers last week that we got at the end of the game, I don't even count those. And also the coaching staff with these Tecmo Bowl plays, they got to step it up, man. So, like, I'm frustrated. I don't want to have to buy another quarterback jersey for the Chicago Bears. So, like, we just got to step up on all aspects of the game, bro.
See, that's why I don't buy jerseys, bro. I said this. I don't buy no current player jersey. I buy your jersey the second that you retire if I loved you your whole career. I never buy players' jerseys. He's not wrong, though. We talked about third down efficiency a little bit, J-Mac. The difference here, the Bears completed their third downs at a 33% clip. The Kansas City Chiefs completed it at a 71%
Well,
clip.
the numbers, we can throw out numbers, right? But let's get to the nuts and bolts of why those numbers that you just mentioned is the way they are, right?
Hey,
Because
yo.
third down offensively, we're always behind the chains. It's always third and long. It's always third and long, right? So it's really hard to convert third and long in this league. Defense knows they know they're going to play the sticks, right? So it's very hard. Not a lot of windows, especially when you got a team that can play coverage and have an adequate pass rush. That puts so much stress on the offense, even an offensive play caller. So that's why we're at, what'd you say, Pat, 33%?
33% there.
Now, let's go to the other side of the ball, defensively. Why are we terrible on third down? Because there is no pass rush. There's no threat for that quarterback. You saw last week Patrick Mahomes get to his second, third read. And then when he didn't have those reads, he would just scramble for a first down because there's no pass rush. Because these quarterbacks were playing, they feel comfortable. They can sit in the pocket like it's a 7-on-7 game, go through their progressions, and deliver that ball for a first down. Like, that's the issue with this defense. And I keep saying it over and over again. And if you don't have a pass rush in this defense with your front four, you're going to see the same things that we've seen every week. Teams converting at a high percentage on third down.
Yeah. No, and I think the most annoying part about all of it, I was trying to see if I could pull up the defensive stats as far as the down and distance. The problem is, right, like, it's not 3rd and 5, 3rd and 3. We're not even seeing a ton of those. It's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 14. I've seen teams complete a 3rd and 14 in every game this season. A 3rd and 14 should be a gimme, but not when you could just stand back there and live your life. So, Pat Mahomes was calling up to the booth, be like, does Taylor have everything she needs up there? Travis is worried about it. Hold on, let me get the ball to him real quick. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, I think that's the part that I think hurts the most when you talk about, you know, this Bears defense is you almost see them get the job done. And maybe that's why Flus is like, we're almost there. But it doesn't feel like it to me. When you got teams completing 3rd and 14s as much as they do, it doesn't feel like you're almost there to me. That feels like you're a long way away. And we'll see,
It
man.
don't feel like you are a long way away. It's funny, man. Ain't no feel. But hey, the numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. You haven't won a game, and I don't know how many games, right?
Yeah.
What was it? 13?
13 games in a row. Every game you've given up 25 points or more.
That's not close. You don't got to be a mathematician. We're not close, and it hurts me to say that. Like I'm not trying to thrive off negativity, but facts are facts. Truth is truth. You can't go up there and say at a press conference, we're close. No, you're not. No, we're not close. We're delusional. We're not close. I'm delusional right now. Like it's, you know what I mean? And you got to hold them guys accountable, man. I understand you had a leadership council. I coach high school football. I have a leadership council. But at the same time, like you can have a leadership council, but those guys got to go back in their locker room and lead the team. That's what the leadership council does. You can't just lead it by just the words you speak. You got to lead it by the actions you put in play. So if I'm on the leadership council and I'm not making plays, how can I go in that locker room and say, hey, guys, we got to make plays? But I'm on a leadership council and I'm a defensive lineman, but I got no sacks. Come on, man. What are we doing here? What are we doing here, man? It doesn't make sense. That's not how a football team operates. That's not what leaders and captains do on a football team. If you're going to be a leader, you have to lead by your play on the field and by the example you set in that building each and every day. That's winning. And if you don't know what winning looks like, you got to find people in that building that understand how to win, period.
And just like to your point, I'm looking right at Flus because teams on the season, 27 for 45, completely going third down at a 60% clip. You got to change something. Hey, man, we appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We will be back tomorrow with more from the Chicago Bears podcast as we react to what we see from practice today. You know what I mean? Hey, according to Flus, it's all going to be solved today. That's what we're going to see, right? We'll see. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Appreciate J-Mac for showing love. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. At the end of the day, no matter what, man, bear down. Peace.
Bear down.